I'm an African. I grew up and I was born in a place called Zimbabwe. I'm a third generation African. I had no choice as to where I was born. I had no choice as to the color of my skin. I am a white African. I am, as such, more of an African than any so-called African American. And what I'm going to say now is controversial, and I'm going to say it. It's the truth. And I'm going to leave it there because it's not the subject of today's talk. The term African American is to separate oneself from Americans. If one wants to say it's to be a reminder of where we came from, I understand. But either you're an American or you're an African American. Using the term African American, in my opinion, this is my opinion, drives a wedge into race relations in the United States of America. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, you might be surprised to know that I played absolutely no part in any event, either significant or insignificant, that occurred prior to the time of my birth. It might seem strange for me to say something like that, but if you have a look around, the world is full of people that are quite willing to take the responsibilities on for stuff that was done by those long dead to those no longer living. It's a bit strange in my view, but the whole world is full of people that are prepared to do that. I'm not prepared to do that. But I do want to talk about the petition to have the statue of Cecil John Rhodes removed from Oxford. No secret that Zimbabwe was once called Rhodesia, and it was named after him. His legacy hasn't been judged well, and as a result, he hasn't been judged well. I don't know what kind of a man he was, quite frankly, and I don't know, how he would have been seen today. But what I do know is that we cannot judge him according to things as they stand today. The reason in America, at least that's my opinion again, and all these videos are just my opinions, the reason that they have a jury of one's peers in America is because one's peers can understand where you're coming from. To understand today where Cecil John Rhodes was coming from, forget about it. Nobody today can be one of his peers, and from that perspective nobody can be one of his jurors either. Okay, unfortunately, neither he nor any other historical figure has a living peer group from which to select his jury. Was Cecil John Rhodes an evil man? Did he intend to foster a racist legacy? The real truth to that is I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think so. And having said that, I need to ask the question, how indeed was racism in his day defined? Because we cannot take what was a norm for him and judge him according to what is a norm for us today. It can't be done. It's not fair. Unless, of course, one wants to take the norm of today as being that we give everybody a fair trial, in which case that's a good norm to have. But what's going on here now is that Cecil John Rhodes is being judged for what's happened since he died, and they're wanting to remove his statue. Two things are lacking. from any judgment that one might make. And the first of all is context. Was Cecil John Rhodes a man who was rejected by his peers and who was outcast and who thought they thought he was a loony? To the best of my knowledge, that isn't the case. And if that's not the case, then the stuff that he was doing wasn't outlandish. It was considered normal for the time. Okay. We could judge him today. What he was doing wasn't normal, but at the time, was it normal or wasn't it? That's the criteria. That is what you need to do to judge this. The second thing, of course, that is missing is intent. What was his intention? Okay. I know he was a businessman. And I know he probably duped. And I know he probably took land and he did what businessmen do. He happened to be in Africa. But I'd posit that if he'd have been in a place where there were white inhabitants, he would have duped them and he would have done the same thing right over there too. I don't think it got to do with race. I think it had to do with just what he did. So we don't know really what his intent was. He may have thought that he was a kind of a missionary. Missionaries think they're doing everyone a favor when they try and persuade them to take their religion. I don't personally think that's disgusting. I don't like that at all. But they think they're doing me a favor. So maybe Cecil John Rhodes thought he was doing them a favor by civilizing them. It's possible. I don't know. As I said, I don't know. Anyway, we haven't got intent and we haven't got context. And without context and without intent, and since none of us was alive at the time, so nobody can actually pronounce any kind of judgment at all on Cecil John Rhodes for what he did then. And one can't pass judgment on any historical figure, because I know this kind of things happened in the States recently too. I think, was it a statue of Paul Revere? I can't remember. Anyway, there was something not so long ago in the news. So the statue wasn't put there by Cecil John Rhodes. I'm pretty sure he didn't put it there. So I'm pretty sure he doesn't give a damn if you take it away. And quite frankly, if you think that taking the statue down is going to do it for you, and you think that it's the right thing to do, go right ahead and remove it. Take it down. But know this, and this fact is an immutable one. You cannot possibly change this. Despite what you may do with the statue and where you may put it and what you may think. The immutable fact of the matter is this. You can pull that statue down, but you can never, ever change the history that caused it to be put there in the first place. The only thing that can change that history into a dynamic future is if we renounce hate and start acting accordingly. Be honest with yourselves. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, White Lives Matter, whatever they're called, all you groups on the side, everybody, be honest with yourselves. Stop acting with hate. Even if you think it's justified. Stop acting with hate, even if you think it's justified. And I promise you one thing. Just like magic, the world will be a better place for everybody. Have a lovely week, everybody. Thanks. See you next week. Bye.